Hey, what's up, everybody? This is a live agent call that I had. We were talking about a subject to deal in particular, and we were just trying to see if it was actually going to work out. So, in this call, you hear us talk about the difference between assuming the loan and subject to. You'll hear us talk about the seller's specific situation and what's going on there and why they need all this money out of the house. And then you'll also hear us talk about, like, what do we do if a seller has a lot of equity in the property? Like, how does subject to still work if they have all this equity in the property, or is it still possible? So let's hop right into the call and check it out. Thank you. Did Chris told you I'd be calling you, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect, awesome. Well, tell me a little bit more about what's going on. Catch me up to speed.
So I have a listing, 3103 Manila Drive, that you guys sent some information making an offer. I'm not sure I fully understood it. So, and there was some errors in there, and so I kind of, put it aside. And then your partner that called yesterday was kind of telling me that maybe I needed to talk to you to get some of the details of what is you guys are proposing, because I may have misunderstood.
Yeah, okay, great. So, yeah, in the letter of intent, probably what you saw was maybe just their underlying loan balance. So, essentially, what I'm looking to do is whatever your client's netting at, like, list price right now. So, let's just say, I don't know what that number is right now. Let's just say, for easy numbers, it's $10,000, right? So, I'm saying, okay, I'll give your client that $10,000. I'll pay your commission. I'll cover all the closing costs, and then I'm looking to take over the payments.
Okay, so let's say it's not 10,000. Let's say it's 100,000. Is that still an option?
Yeah, it definitely could be. So they have quite a bit of equity in the property, is what you're saying.
Correct. So they have equity, and then they spent a lot of money on some of the improvements and so forth, and so they still have a few notes that they need to get paid off as well. They had a down payment assistance program, so they had, they've got some complexities in their deal, but they do have some nice equity in there.
Okay, so like as far as the down payment assistance, I've taken that over before too. Is this one forgivable? Do you know, or is it staying on?
It is not.
Okay. And then for renovations, you said they have another loan?
Yeah, so they've got some other debts that they need to take care of, but that would come out of their equity, obviously, but we factored into the number, so that's, yeah. I don't know if you know the property, if you even looked at the property. I understand that you probably have a lot of people doing some of that stuff for you. So I guess if anything, I would say, okay, we'll take a look and see if this is really a possibility. The seller has said she would consider possibly, doing that with a note. And I said, well, let me get details of what happens in this situation, and then I will get back to you. So, I have not done one of these assumptions. I've done a loan assumption, but it was a typical loan assumption. So I don't understand the difference between a loan assumption and what you were proposing.
Yeah, so the main difference is, I can definitely explain that, no problem. The main difference is just that in a loan assumption, like, that person is getting qualified in order, like, through the bank to take over the loan. In this case, I'm not getting qualified through the bank or anything. The loan is staying in your client's name. I'm just taking over those payments, and so I'll start making those payments to the lender.
So what happens to the deed? And
yeah, great question. The deed, it'll transfer over to me, so I become the owner of the property. I'm responsible for everything: taxes, maintenance, insurance, all that stuff. The next question I usually get asked is, okay, well, how is my client going to be protected in this situation? And one, that's through the down payment that I would give them on the house. And then two is, like, if I were to ever miss a payment, that's usually the next question. Like, what happens if you miss a payment, right? So if I miss a payment, then the house would just get deeded back to them, and they wouldn't have to go through the foreclosure process or anything like that, and they'd get to keep all the money that I gave them, take the house back, and then they could call you back and be like, hey, let's resell it and make more money.
So they wouldn't have to go through foreclosure, but I'm guessing you probably have someone living there at that point?
Well, I'd probably have a tenant in the property, but like if the tenant isn't paying it, it's never happened to me before. So I would imagine the only situation that I could see that is if I weren't able to make it, I didn't have a tenant in there or anything like that. But I mean, even if there's not a tenant in there, I'll definitely still be making the payment because it wouldn't make sense for, it wouldn't be a good business model for me to just put down X amount of dollars and then walk away from it essentially.
Okay. Interesting. Have you done a lot of these already?
Yes.
Can you give me an idea of 5, 50, 100?
Yeah, we've done over 100 of these.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you saw in
Um,
the letter that I sent you. There's a bunch of HUDs of like recent ones that we've done, and we've done even more than just the recent
yeah,
ones.
I did see them. All right, and I guess then I just need to know, number one, if she would consider it, and then two, if you really still believe that the numbers would work.
Yeah, so for me, the only part is it's not that I can't get her all of the equity or get them all of their equity. It's just I wouldn't be coming in with 100 up front. It would be like a smaller down payment and then payments over time on the remaining equity. So like for me to be completely honest, I'd probably want to be all into this for around like 28,000. That's including your commission and then paying them.
Yeah,
And so let's say they got 15, then they would carry the remaining and we could have like a 10-year
yeah,
balloon, something like that, to where then at that point I would refinance.
they wouldn't be able to afford. So it was a co-hab situation. So
Hmm.
they need to the note is under one person's name.
Hmm.
So in order for her to be able to move on, she needs to pay the other person off.
Mm,
Um, and so that would probably not. I know it won't work.
gotcha. Okay. Yeah,
But
no, that makes sense. It does make it difficult when, it's that situation in particular. It's definitely doable, but both parties have to be on board, and that can be kind of hard sometimes. Um,
right, yeah,
so,
yeah, and one person dropped a lot of cash into the improvements,
mhm.
which is part of the appeal of the house, and so that's the person that's not the lien holder is the one that dropped the cash into the improvements. In order for her to get paid back her portion, they need the equity that's in there. You know what I
Gotcha.
mean?
Yeah, so the only way that like if worst case scenario, I think maybe your best option would be just to keep it listed and try to get a traditional sale right now, but worst case scenario, you can keep it in your back pocket. Like I know you guys have only been what on like 35 days, 34 days, something like that. So,
Right,
uh,
32.
yeah, so you know, what we could do, the way that it would be structured, whatever that money is that they're supposed to receive, obviously that could be split up front and then through the title company, and then the payments, monthly payments to them, or even that balloon payment if we did it in like 7 years, 10 years, something like that. That could always still be dispersed and separately to each of them.
Okay, I'm 90% sure it's not a possibility, but I'll run it through them just as my job is to do.
Okay.
And then I'll send you. What's the best way to give you a yay or a nay?
Yeah, you can call me back here. This is my cell phone. Shoot me a text.
Okay.
But yeah, but it sounds like I mean just based off what you're saying, it's probably not. But yeah, I still definitely want to hear what they have to
Great.
say. But I mean, I would
Okay.
definitely love to work with you. So do you have what else do you have going on? Do you have any others like this that it might work for?
You know, it's everybody wants the equity that they have in their house, and that I'm sure is the problem you run into.
Hmm.
Is that some people want the equity and other people need the equity.
Right.
And it seems like more recently the people that are selling need the equity, and so
Hmm.
it's not even a question of can they, but they can't. You know?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think
Yeah.
like a lot of times this works really good. It's not that it can't work with when they have a lot of equity. As you said, it's just a matter of if they need it or if they want it type of thing. But it
Right.
also works good when they have like lower equity,
Mm-hmm.
in that sense of like, maybe they're not walking away with too much or they'd have to cut a check at closing, something like that. Do you come
Right.
across those too often?
in some cases I can, and I'll definitely hang on to your information. And if it makes sense for me to give you a call with some of those situations, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, awesome. Well, I appreciate that, Carmen.
Okay.
Thanks so much for your
No
time.
problem. You too. Take care.
All
Bye.
right, bye.